So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock. At this time, we'll go ahead and move into roll call. I'll call roll. President Cano Sanchez.
Here.
The chair is here. Administrative Vice President Gonzalez. Okay. Student Affairs Vice President Ruda.
Present.
Social Justice and Equity Officer Cuellar.
Present.
Environmental Sustainability Officer Smith. All right. Graduate Rep Huang.
Yeah.
At-large Rep Follett.
Present.
At-large Rep Gutierrez. CNRS Rep Congo Livingstone. They are here. Angeles is here as well. CNRS Rep Weinberg.
Here.
CAS Rep Floyd.
Here.
Class Rep Amora.
Here.
Class Rep Angeles is here. CPS Rep Angeles is here. CPS Rep Lamar. External Affairs Representative Valavinos.
Here.
Public Relations Officer Caldillo.
Here.
AS presents Representative Limos. Executive Director Lund.
Here.
Intermediate students. Mini Turnbow.
Present.
All right. So let me double check that we do have quorum. We do have quorum, and I'm seeing more people come in as we are going through here. All right, so thank you all for being here. It is our last meeting, so it's kind of sentimental, but at the same time, we do have a packed agenda with limited time, so I'll go ahead and keep moving forward. With the approval of agenda, at this time, I would ask for motion to approve the agenda. However, I need a motion to amend the agenda to add a motion to amend the agenda to include a closed session during the executive director's appraisal report.
I motion to approve an amended agenda with the executive director appraisal report as a closed time.
There's a motion on the floor to move into closed session during the executive director appraisal report. Is there a second?
I second the motion made by Representative Amora.
There's a second by Officer Cuellar. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing? Seeing none, the motion passes. The agenda is amended. All right, so now I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
There's a motion from Representative Lamar to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second from Representative Floyd. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing? Seeing none, the motion passes. The agenda is approved. Next up is approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
There's a motion to approve the minutes from Representative Amora. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second for Representative Floyd. For Representative Lamar. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing? Seeing none, the motion passes. Their minutes are approved. So next up is the chair's report. Welcome everyone. This is our last. This is the last board meeting of this session. It has been a long ride. I'm super thankful to have this experience. In chairing and just really being a part of this board. It has been truly a lifetime worth of experience. So I do want to say a couple of reminders. For those who are kind of new, make sure that you mute yourselves if you aren't speaking currently. If you would like to raise your hand during a time of discussion, you can use the participants list to raise your hand, and I can notice it, and I can lower it, and then be like, okay, so-and-so would like to speak on this item. Also to vote, I'll be asking just, again, the general consent, and then if we do move to full vote, we'll then use the yes and the no's to indicate ayes or nays. Voting also, if you want to abstain during voting, please raise your hand, as that will indicate you are abstaining. All right, so at this time, I'll go ahead and move on to public comments. If there's any public comment, now would be the time to make that public comment. Public comment, the comment from Amanda.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Hello, everybody. I'm Amanda. I've been here a couple times. Pronouns are she, hers. And I'm here to update you on the Food Sovereignty Lab. And if you're not familiar with the project, direct message me some other time and I'll fill you in. I'll send you some awesome links. But for those of you that are a little bit more up to speed on the project, here are the updates. We are trying to change this campus, and that's why we are all here. That's why you all are elected. And we're talking real change, not just talk about change of what it could be, what it could do, how it's going to better our institution. And so I'm asking that in whatever way you can, you rise to the occasion and you work with us during finals week, the most shit show week of the semester, to help us see the change on this campus and our students deserve. On our end, our research team, we are exhausted. We are bending over the backwards, but we are not going to stop because that is what this work looks like. This project embodies and exemplifies all the institutional strategic priorities and objectives set by HSU and by the associated students, which are dedication to diversity, equity, and inclusion, a commitment to environmental sustainability and social justice. We really feel at this point, the administrators of this institution are falling short right now in not supporting their students, not supporting this project, and have approached our hard work and dedication with a very dismissive, bureaucratic attitude. I think Humboldt State loves to be a big controversial hypocrite. Our student research titled Imagining an Indigenized Campus won second in the statewide CSU research competition. And HSU has been blasting our faces all over social media, receiving praise for its innovative students and important research on how to address this issue. And then when it comes down to implementing this research, we're told no. We're told our application for the space was not good enough. It's not serving all students. It's finals week and we're exhausted and we're still doing this work to try and convince our administrators what they're putting their students through and why they should care. And it really begs the question, does HSU have a commitment to their Indigenous inhabitants? Clearly not. When the president goes to the Council of Native American faculty and staff and meets with Native students and asks them what they need for him to work on, and this is what they come up with, and it's denied. It sends a really bad message, an image of what HSU's agenda actually is. So a little bit of background for you. The committee, the University Space Facilities Advisory Committee, I'll refer to as the committee, never reached out to us regarding our proposal that was submitted in November 2019. I had reached out twice in early spring 2020 before COVID closures and got no response. After spring break, I sent a more detailed and pressing email to which started this conversation. They let us know that they support the project in its essence, but they won't be awarding Native American Studies the space in BSS because they think it would be better used as a lounge to serve all students. Our response to that response was questions. Where are the meeting minutes? Who was in attendance? Who made that vote? What is the process? What is the criteria? What is the policy? And how do we appeal? All of which we got no answer to, except that there was no appeal process. Come to find now, after digging through their policy, there is. And they don't know how to run their committee. And so that was 2 weeks ago. And that was when I came to talk to you all, and we put out the call to get student and community support. And we sent the committee over 100 letters and videos from students, faculty, department chairs. The Wiyot tribe sent a letter. United Indian Health Services and community members alike, all in support of this project and its impacts to not only our institution, but this region. We feel that these letters were not reviewed by the committee, just like our application was not thoroughly reviewed, because they're so overwhelmed right now. And we just want to highlight that the students are overwhelmed. It takes more time to write a letter than it does to read it. And so we took all these concerns regarding the lack of transparency around decision-making and lack of transparency around their policy to the current chair of the University Senate. And she agreed that all of these blurry, non-transparent moves made by the committee are really concerning and really against all the rules of a high-up institutional committee like this one. And y'all know, as a governing body, you always go back to the policy. You have to be transparent in your approach and transparent in your decisions, especially if you're going to deny somebody's request, right? So there are two students that currently sit on this committee for about 1 more week, Lizbeth Cano Sanchez and Caitlin Taylor. And we ask that these students please use whatever power they have to help us and make a call for an emergency meeting with the committee to review our application, because there's no policy that says you can't do that, or that you can't not go back and review our application and review all the 100 and some letters that we sent. And we assume that the committee is hoping that all of this just goes away after next week because it's summer, but that's not the case. We will continue this work, and if we don't get answers to our questions, we will go public, and it will not look good for HSU. And we are working on writing a very personal and policy-oriented letter to VP Jason Merriweather to try and, it's like our last chance to get somebody to listen to us and give us the president's ear to make sure that we know that this space will become the Food Sovereignty Lab. So I guess that's the end. And I want to answer any questions that come up from anybody after hearing this information. And I'd also really appreciate any advice on how we best approach this situation and how you think you might be able to help us. And if I could have permission to share my screen just to show a couple compelling figures.
I don't know if that's possible. Email me what you need to show, and then I'll show it.
Okay, on it. What questions can I answer? Where can I be more clear?
Or put it into the chat. Janessa just mentioned. I see a hand raised from Will.
This was acknowledged at the University Senate meeting on Tuesday. They talked about the outpouring of support. And I think that the guidance given, at least to the people who brought it up, and I'm sorry that this is a rough description, but it was that basically, you know, COVID's been hard on everyone, as you've noted too, that they're gonna not be making any decisions on anything at this point until fall, and that's the best time because they did get such a big, like so many letters that they're going to seriously be looking at it, but they said it would happen in fall.
Thank you. There's
yes, thank you. The communication that we see from Vice President Douglas Dawes is that we are expected to amend our application to make it better and to resubmit. It's not guaranteed, and we feel that there's some bias, or there's there's compelling support for this project, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense how the committee has gone about this, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for HSU to not accept this project as it relates to retention, enrollment, enrichment, budget, bringing in money. A student lounge isn't going to bring in money, but a research center will. We have donors who are willing to donate money, and if we wait until fall, our donors need to know, and they're ready to throw money at it, and HSU needs money, I guess, or maybe they don't. Maybe that was unclear somewhere. And this isn't to be combative to your response, Will. I appreciate your participation in the University Senate. And we had an additional one-on-one meeting with Stephanie, the chair of the committee or the Senate, and we brought up these concerns around transparency.
Okay, thank you so much. We're gonna go out Mora and then Cano Sanchez, and then we're gonna move on with the rest of our agenda, and we will definitely make sure that we all take this comment under heavy consideration as we move forward with the rest of our agenda, and honestly through next meetings.
Native Americans have, are, and will continue to exist on our land at Humboldt County, as well as maintaining a dominant presence at our university. An Indigenous Natural Resource Management Practice class, NAS 331, Fall 2019, led students to develop a lab/center that has an inclusive commercial kitchen with cultural food demonstrations. As part of the launch of the lab/center, students from the College of Professional Studies and College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences are starting with sharing Native American food practices. The reason being is that first and foremost, cooking is encouraged for health, and many Native American tribes practice food preparation methods that are ecologically restorative. An example of a source of Native American food education is in the recently released PBS kids show Molly of Denali. Students ought to have access to food practices that are outside of the corporate mass production methods, because our university does well in environmental sustainability. In addition to that, students ought to have access to a commercial kitchen for cooking cultural foods and a multicultural center focused on food. As we all know, food brings everyone together and starts thoughtful discussions about customs. The development of the curricula for this lab/center will involve researching for the purpose about promoting workshops relating to ethnic food. Thank you, and I support this project, and I believe that it is in the utmost urgency that we actually implement something to make sure this project goes forward.
Thank you. Cano Sanchez.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for your public comment. You and I have been a little bit in contact in everything that has been going on, and I just wanted to let you know that when I got on the USFAC, I was a part of it, appointed to it as the AVP, so then it did fit in my schedule. When I became the president, it was tough for me to fit it into that current schedule, but I also plan on extending my participation on that committee. So I will definitely be on this, and thank you so much for urging action, and thank you so much for everything that you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you again to our public comments, and thank you for the comments on the public comments. I really do appreciate those. Okay, I see a hand raised from Lex. We'll go ahead and let Lex speak. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Was anyone else going to speak on that issue? I wanted to cover a response to the Associated Students 2021 budget. Just wanted to make sure. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So I'm here as a representative of, my name is Lexi Sieber, and I am the Queer Community Building Coordinator at the MCC, one of them. my coworker, Indigo Eden, was not able to make it this evening. But I am speaking for both of us, along with various students and faculty member, along with staff that I've been in discussion with multiple times throughout the week, sharing our severe disappointment in what the AS budget has released. There were a few points I was talking to John Meyer made these points, a professor, along with Kim Berry, talking about how there was a huge disparity between April 10th and April 17th when the funds were released. And by the end, most of the queer and cultural centers were cut to $0. So there must have been something that happened within that, and we were discussing how it was a gross misinterpretation of the Executive 1068, whereas the associated students were interpreting themselves as a student organization when in fact they are part of the student body organization, which is just it's a very different interpretation. And along with when associated students, I worked for associated students too, because so that's also where I'm coming from as far as a background a few years ago. But anyways, so associated students had transferred to the stateside funding. And initially when that shift happened, y'all had said that there was not going to be any changes. And there are a lot of changes happening, and not for the best of reasons. So there are a lot of points, but I know that I only have, I think, 10 minutes. But we have written up a letter to y'all, and I would like to read it. We're in the editing phase at the moment. So there's a few things that I want to add, but I'll make sure to send it to y'all and hopefully make it public to as many students as possible. So HSU Associated Students Board of Directors, we as a queer community building coordinators and representatives of the student body are writing this letter with deep concerns of the approved Associated Students 2021 budget. The budget has cut the majority of cultural and queer centers to $0. There have been various attempts to appeal the budget from student prior to today. Even with their protests, the blatant fiscal and resource discrimination of this next year's budget has unfortunately been approved. We argue that cutting the majority of queer and cultural programs that provide in-house and outsourced support for student survivors of the most vulnerable populations to $0 is a violation of the Department of Education Policies Title IX, the Violence Against Women Act, otherwise known as VAWA, and the Clery Act. By cutting programs such as the Women's Resource Center, Eric Rofus Center, Multicultural Queer Resource Center, queer community building coordinators, and the various other groups that are severely affected by Associated Students 2021 budget denies access to services and support to the most marginalized students. The services and support that our programs and organizations provide which uplift and shape policies for survivor-centered resolutions that encompass all identities. On Humboldt State University's website, it states that Title IX, quote, "No persons in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits, or be subjugated to discrimination under any educational program or activity receiving federal financial assistance," end quote. Further, the Associated Students 2021 budget decisions to cut budgets so drastically and disproportionately from programs and students' organizations that center student support and provide services to students with identities and experiences that have been systemically marginalized. VAWA is a federal policy that not only protects the rights of survivors of sexualized violence of all identities, but also includes the protection of sustained support and prevention resources, to which many of the queer and cultural centers disproportionately were cut from Associated students falls within. Part 668.46J of the Clery Act requires the universities and colleges uplift and support programs to prevent dating violence, domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. Attached below is the lengthy section of the policy and states requirements specific to which universities are expected to maintain. And I'll make sure to include that in the letter so that it's more accessible, and also links to all of those DOJ or Department of Education links. We stress again how imperative it is to support queer and cultural centers on campus, not just to exist, but to thrive. The growth and support we receive is reflected in the ways that survivors of all identities are treated on HSU campus. We provide expansions of language and experiences while giving students spaces to feel safer and uplifted. To echo these federal policies, in Associated Students Governing Codes and Policies, Section 100, Document 104, in the non-discrimination policy, it is stated that, quote, every member of the Associated Students has a responsibility to ensure that the policy of equal opportunity is provided in all Associated Students programs and activities, end quote. The Associated Students budget is currently in violation of these policies, whereas the majority of programs and activities Associated Students has cut to zero are those run by and for queer and students of color who have been cultivating safer spaces for folks experiencing harm. Many of these organizations also centralize workshops, educational events, and resources that utilize trauma-informed approaches that work towards prevention of harm and expand building anti-discriminatory practices at Humboldt State University. In a seeming attempt to uplift the notion of supporting these student needs, resolution number 217-18-1, approved September 9th, 2017, establishing committee member for the position of the Social Justice and Equity Officer, states, quote, whereas the mission of the Associated Students of Humboldt State University serves to, quote, assist in the protection of rights and interests in the individual students and the student body, and to stimulate the educational, social, physical, and cultural well-being of the university community, end quote. We ask, how is cutting all of the queer cultural budgets to $0 supposed to, quote, stimulate the educational, social, physical, and cultural well-being of the university community, end quote. In 2016, university students and representatives from Humboldt State University, many of which had been a part of the organization's Associated Students 2021 budget, are now attempting to presented to 23 Title IX coordinators at the CSU Chancellor's Office. Part of their presentation stressed the necessity of the student-led spaces where folks of marginalized identities would be able to access support from their peers and comrades. Now we are here today to advocate once again for the importance of these programs. We demand a reconciliation of the 2021 budget that takes into account the necessity of queer and cultural centers and the re-centralization of students' needs being expressed by the university's most marginalized representations. And that is the drafted letter that I'll be sending you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that letter. Please send it to me. I'll put my email in the chat. Also, too, I would encourage you to send to the rest of the board as well. And also, too, please do come to the next board meeting right after this, and I'll be able to help out as well. So with that being said, I see a bunch of comments, a bunch of hand raises. You know, I don't think the board. I think the board members receive this information, can hear it. Let's go ahead and let's have CCAT present the public comment, and then from there we'll move on if there's no more public comment from the public itself.
Hello, my name is Michael Perez. I'm the external co-director for CCAT. I just wanted to say what an honor it was to work with the current board. I say thank you very much for your service, and I want to say I'm excited to see what Jeremiah, Mayuli, and the next board brings. So I just want to say thank you very much for all your service, each and every one of your board members, and I look forward to what the new year brings. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I see public comment from Roman.
Hi, let me get my video going here. Hi. So for public comment, I just wanted to say that as the incoming social justice equity officer, that I will be requesting we look at how my stipend payment for my position can instead go to the ERC and the MCC. And I encourage current board members, future board members, to look at these budgets and reassess how they might also take pay cuts. Not as significant as mine, of course, because I know that I'm in a place where I can take not take any payment at all. I recognize that other students here might not be able to do that, but I know that as students, we have been asking our administrative officials to do this very same thing in order to sustain our programs. And the fact that we're not doing it in order to sustain our students, or perhaps we are, I don't know. But we should probably be doing the same thing as well. And so that's essentially my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for the public comment. So we're going to keep on moving ahead and moving forward with the rest of our agenda. Again, I ask all the board members to really keep in mind of this public comment. So next up, we're going to move into reports. So for this report section, this is going to be moving to a closed session. And so what I'll be doing is moving all non-board members and non-voting members, except for the Dean of Students, Dr. Ebony Turbo, so that way we can appraise the executive director and look at that reports. And then after we close out of closed session, then we'll bring you all back in from the waiting room. So just don't log out. I'll move you, and then we'll move you back. With that being said, though, I do need a motion to move into closed session.
I motion to move into closed session.
There's a motion to move into closed session. Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion from Representative Floyd to move into closed session. There's a second from Representative Amora. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing?
I'd like to catch the motion so that it can be amended to be more specific about who will stay in the room and who leaves.
Okay. So Representative Moore and Representative Floyd, if you could amend your motion to include who's gonna, like basically what the coordinator just said.
And for clarification, what I'm looking for is specifically like I won't be in there, but the advisor will, like.
So all non-board members and non-voting members, except for the Dr. Ebony Turnbow. If Representative Floyd or Representative Mora could include that language in their motion.
I move to allow the board of directors to go in a closed session in which non-board members aren't part of, except Ebony Turnbow.
Okay, so we're gonna need a little bit more clarification. Just because the executive director is a board member, I'm gonna type it out in the chat. Just to motion moving into closed session. So someone can read out that.
I move to close session and have all non-board members and non-voting staff members leave this main session until closed session is finished.
There's a motion on the floor to move into closed session and have all non-board members and non-staff and non-voting staff members leave this main session until closed session is finished. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Floyd. Closed session will end when the appraisal ends, and I'll bring you back in. So don't log out. There's a first and a second to move into closed session. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing? Seeing none, the motion passes. We will be moving into closed session. I will be moving all non-voting members and non-board members into the waiting room. All right, so that appraisal is finished. We will be moving on now to the next report on the agenda. Which is the executive director's report. At this time, if the executive director would like to give the report.
So looking at the time, how much time do you want allotted?
Honestly, I don't know if we're going to be able to get through the rest of the agenda within 20 minutes.
Okay, so I will just say thank you all very much for an amazing year. We've had lots of ups and downs, and all of it's been a growth opportunity. And I really appreciate all of you and feel very fortunate that our paths have crossed. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Janessa. I'll go ahead and ask for the Dean of Students update / anything that they would like to update us on. Okay, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything. So we'll go ahead and move on to our standing committees. Again, I don't know, just for the sake of time, I know this is our last meeting, but I'm not sure if we have a time to do our full standing committees reports. Okay, those were just a placeholder. Like if you chose to report, Casey says. All right. So if I'm not hearing anything, I'll go ahead and move on to the priority working groups, the guiding documents task force report. So I'll go ahead and just share it really fast so y'all can see what I'm referencing to. I'll share it on my screen. Let me go ahead and pull that up. So basically, can everyone see my screen? Yes, thumbs up. Okay, I see a thumb. Okay, so this is basically the AS Guiding Documents Task Force report. We are presenting it to y'all today. We went through and did sections. This is our problem area section, our initial solutions to the issue, the problems, the general feedback that we received all back from you. And here are some recommended actions that we recommended to for a body next semester to take this on. So that's pretty much it. I don't think there's really anything that needs to be kind of super said about that, unless somebody has some super great feedback that they would like to say about that. Okay, I'm not seeing any, so I'll go ahead and keep on going with the agenda. We do have translation letters. I don't know if we're going to be able to read those translation letters today. However, if folks would like to really, I think it'd be super helpful. Possibly either link up with with the person that you're transitioning to and let them read their letter, or like send them your letter, or drop it into the board of directors transition letter folder, which should have all of them in there. So that way new board members can look at those transition letters, read them, get some general insight, whatever, basically whatever else you wrote in them. Just because, again, just for the sake of time, I'm not sure if we have the time to read out the entire letters to folks. Okay. So next up is general discussion. So if anyone would like to say something about any of the reports aside from the executive director appraisal, now will kind of be the time to do that. Amanda raised hand. Let me. Okay, I can see it now. Yes, Amanda.
What's up, y'all? I just wanted to, I was curious about the funded programs committee and when we were going to receive kind of like a hello or a summary of update from our last meeting, or when we can expect communication. As a director of a funded program, I would appreciate any communication over the summer. Help us set us up for success during the fall. So yeah, just inquiring about funded programs committee and space.
Thank you, Amanda. So for the space piece, maybe Cano Sanchez can kind of give some insight to the space piece. For the funded programs piece, I'm hopeful that people will revive that conversation and bring that on. And you're more than encouraged to come to the following board meeting to again ask that question, and the appropriate people can answer that for you. Cano Sanchez, are you able to offer some insight for the space piece?
Yeah, thank you. So concerning space, we had one final meeting on, I think it was May 1st, so last Friday. We met with the small working group of faculty and administration to try to come to a sort of an agreement. A proposal still needs to be submitted by us, and so we're getting Mike Fisher's help on that. So once that proposal is ready and submitted, it will go to the USFAC for review. And I do know that they are working throughout the summer. That's another piece that I wanted to add. So once that committee views that and takes care of that, we will be receiving a response. And Jeremiah, I have also detailed some steps on this and left some guidance for you. So I will be sending you my letter after. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. All right. So if there is any more general discussion. All right. I'm not seeing any. So I'll go ahead and keep moving forward. Next up is the stipend recommendations. So these stipend recommendations were the recommendations that were written through the resolution to reevaluate our stipends. Was brought to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance said to basically, we can't do this right now. It's not sound. It's not. It wouldn't be logical for us to do it right now. So we're gonna put those stipend recommendations into our strategic plan. And when we are in a better space, which the Board of Finance is recommending, we then go forward with those stipend recommendations. So that being said, this is an action item. The action that could come out of it would be the Board of Directors could vote to put this into the AS strategic plan, and that's the action that's recommended coming from the Board of Finance. So is there a motion to do this, or?
I recommend that someone motions to put our stipend recommendations into the 5-year plan.
I move that the stipend recommendation be moved into the 5-year strategic plan.
Second.
There's a first and a second to move. There's a first from Officer Cuellar and a second from President Cano Sanchez to move the stipend recommendation into the AS strategic plan. Is there any objections or abstentions to this vote, to this motion passing?
Objection from Amora.
Objection from Amora. The vote passes. The motion carries. The vote passes. The action's carried out. Next up, we have the 5-year strategic plan update. So this is the update that Connie Sanchez gave to us during that time a couple of weeks ago. Basically, I don't believe that anything too serious has changed. This, while this is an action item, it doesn't like, it can't be, an action can be like to vote to citizen, like basically to approve this strategic plan update. So that's the action that could come out of it. Action could be, I don't know, to move it somewhere else, or I don't know. So there's a couple actions that the board has, options that the board has with this one. Can I get a motion to approve the AS strategic plan update?
I motion to accept the AS strategic plan update.
There's a motion to accept the AS strategic plan update from Representative Lamar. Is there a second?
I second the motion made by Representative Lamar.
The second from Officer Cuellar. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing?
Objection from Amora.
An objection from Amora. All right, so the motion does carry, and the strategic plan is updated. So next up, we're now moving into new business. The Board of Finance basically recommended some general changes to the fiscal policies and to the 2020-2021 budget language recommendation that is spending forward, as well as the unspent funds recommendation that is being sent forward as well. So these are all coming out the Board of Finance recommendations. This motion could all be done just in one motion altogether, simply because there can be a motion to accept the Board of Finance recommendations, which would hit all of those recommendations listed. In addition to that, it would really help out with time.
I motion to accept the Board of Finance recommendations.
There's a motion to accept the Board of Finance recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Representative Floyd. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing?
Objection from Amora. Objection.
One objection from Amora. The motion does carry. The Board of Finance recommendations have been accepted by the Board of Directors. All right, so this is the 2019-2020 policy agenda. This is in its first reading. That's requesting to be waived. However, we did get an informal presentation from this item during one of our previous meetings, and so it is technically in its second reading. Just the way it got onto the Board of Directors agenda, it didn't fall under the time that we had planned out, and wanted to make sure that we can get this through to next board and just finish conducting the business that we have, so that way we can not have any unfinished business from this board. So with that being said, it could be a motion to accept the waiver, or to accept the waiver and the policy agenda all together, unless there's some more conversation around it, or folks want to offer some more clarification. Officer Cuellar, please feel free to jump in at any time.
Yeah, so I hope everyone's been reading the emails that I've been sending. This has been something that we've been working on for a long time now. So I hope everyone has been able to get their eyes on it. And I would really appreciate the first reading being waived, because I think it would be an incredible opportunity to have this document created, so that at least it could start a pattern, so that future boards will also create policy agendas. And there's just great institutional knowledge to be left.
Thank you. With that being said, if there's no more discussion on this, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the 2020 policy, the 2019-2020 policy agenda, and the first reading request, or the first reading waiver request.
I motion to approve the policy agenda. Sorry, I missed the whole motion. Can I get clarification on it?
So it can be whatever motion you really want to create depending on what you want to do. But it could be a motion to approve the 2019-2020 policy agenda and the first reading waiver.
Okay, got it. I motion to approve the 2019 to 2020 policy agenda with its waiver, waiving the first reading.
Second.
First and a second to approve the 2019-2020 Board of Policy agenda with its first reading waiver. Is there any objection? There's hand raise for discussion. Sarah? Abstain. Okay. Is there any? Okay. One abstention from Congo Livingstone. Is there any objections?
Objection, Amora.
Objection from Amora. The motion does carry. The policy agenda is approved. Okay. All right. So next up, we have the ratification of the 2020 general elections results. If the election commissioner would like to take the time to present on this item.
Hello, everybody. So as some of you may already know, we have had our unofficial election results presented on our social media. Ratified is just a fancy word for we would like to, pass these and ensure that those that were elected for this coming board get to, hold their position properly. So for AS President, Jeremiah Finley is the candidate-elect. For AS Legislative Vice President, Mayuli Cuellar. Administrative Vice President, David Lopez. Student Affairs Vice President, Jordan Lamar. Social Justice and Equity Officer, Roman Sotomayor. At-large Representative, Montel Floyd. College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences Representative, Angelica Alvarez. UC 2 years, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that one, but UC's 2-year student at-large rep, Jeremiah Finley. Of course, that is for the UC Board of Directors, not AS Board of Directors. So now I think we are looking for a motion to ratify these election results.
If you can give me 1 second, actually we can just ask, yeah, give me 1 second to just get some more clarification on some things before we move forward.
I have the floor, so I'll keep talking because I like to talk. This year, we had one of the highest voter turnouts of the last, I want to say like 3 or 4 years, which is pretty great. We had 11.5% of the student body vote, as opposed to, I believe, like 5 or 8% last year. So that was amazing. It's still a small number. I would love it to grow within the next year and the next few years. But I think it's amazing. Part of it is, we really promoted elections this year. And another part is, honestly, we're all home because of COVID. So it gave us all the opportunity to kind of just be like, well, I have nothing else to do. Let's, vote and get some people elected that deserve to be elected. So yeah, that's as much as I'm going to spitball. I hope Jeremiah's phone call doesn't go any much longer.
Okay, I'm back. So right now, basically, I need a motion to, we need a motion to either, it's a motion to accept, I think just by our codes and constitutions. And then moving forward, we need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'm sorry. There's a motion to. So is the intent of the motion to adjourn the meeting before you ratify the election results?
Sorry, my mic totally went off and I thought I heard the wrong motion, but I motioned to ratify the 2020 elections results. I thought we were like totally different section. I was just confused.
Okay, no worries. That's what I'm here for. There's a motion to approve the 2020-21 election results. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Floyd. There's a motion on the floor to approve and ratify the 2020 election results from President Carlos Sanchez, and a second from Representative Floyd. Is there any objections or abstentions to this motion passing?
Abstention from Amora.
Abstention from Amora. I'm looking to make sure there's no more abstentions. This motion carries. The election results are ratified. Great job, everyone. All right. So with that being said, I do need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
There's been a motion to adjourn this meeting. Is there a second?
A second, Carlos Sanchez.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting. With that being said, for the last time, I call to end the order. I call to end the 2019-2020 Board of Directors session. We do have thank yous still that we can do informally, but it is 6:40 and the next meeting starts at 6:45. So I do want to really say we could do the thank yous. And like bring those presentations up, just because it's kind of like the end times. So it's kind of whatever the board wants to do. I mean, not the board wants to do, it's whatever you want to do.
I'm doing it because our seniors deserve to be recognized. I'll go through it real quick, I promise.
We have 5 minutes. I'm okay.
So as you all know, we have a lot of amazing student leaders in this room that are also graduating this semester or in the fall semester. So I really just wanted to celebrate all of that because it takes a lot of work to finish your undergraduate and get your bachelor's degree. We have Brianna Rueda, who is graduating with her bachelor's in political science with a minor in communications. I will be graduating with my bachelor's in journalism, and I am the public relations officer. Gabrielle Smith will be graduating with her bachelor's in environmental studies, appropriate technology minor, and a music minor. Lily Huang will be graduating with her master's of business administration. Marisol Angeles will be graduating with her bachelor's in liberal studies elementary education. Paola Valdovinos will be graduating with her bachelor's in psychology. Sarah Conga Livingston is going to be graduating with her bachelor's in wildlife management and conservation. William Weinberg will be graduating with his bachelor's in forestry restoration. And I want to say again, congratulations to all of our seniors for all of the hard work that you've done, all of the hours that you've put in, and the dedication that you've had to being a student advocate. Continue to do better for the world and grow as a person. Thank you.